First off, thank you so much for coming here and, being able to share with BHD a little bit about your story. I would just like to introduce, this is Bri Borunda. She is a hydration specialist. And I will say, what caught my eye about you kind of reaching out on the ad and, wanting to share more about what you do was it's something that I don't really have a lot of knowledge on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think we talked about it in your interview, but you just brought this very calm and educated background that I felt like, oh, this aligns really well with what BHD is about and we're trying to move forward to. And, I see the amazing work that you share on your Instagram, and I see how hardworking you are. And the fact that we're sitting here is just a blessing. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I trust that everything just aligns in its perfect way, and the connections that we meet aren't by accident.
Yeah.
And I truly live in that type of philosophy that everything's connected. And again, thank you. Gratitude for you.
No problem. So I would say to start it off, what kind of gave you your purpose, your mission? At what age was it that you decided I'm going to do this to make an impact for, the greater, people in this world, or in this case, just a community?
This was honestly pretty recently.
Okay.
2020 came, we had this whole world shut down, and things just kind of came to light on, wow, there are so many people suffering right now.
Yeah.
There are so many people sick, and there's so many people praying for solutions. And just kind of some backstory, a lot of this has to do with my late mother. She passed away about 8 years ago now. And to know that at that time, I didn't have the knowledge that I now do. And to think that there are so many people now who are suffering, who are sick, and who are praying for solutions and calling in those answers, and to be able to simplify it and start with something so basic, something so that we don't even realize is so huge, and it's water. And that's really, that's my passion right there, helping people.
Yeah. So, honestly, I'm very sorry to hear that. And, moving into what it is, with the hydration in the water, what is the most significance, in knowledge and education that you found with, water and where it's at?
Wow. The most significant thing that I have found is my own personal experience.
Okay.
Because my mom passed, she passed from lupus.
Okay.
She had it most of her life. We had no idea until the end of her time. And looking back, I remember my mom being so tired all the time, in pain all the time. And after she passed, I realized whoa, I have some similar symptoms.
Okay.
So I chose to go to the doctor, figure out what's going on in my life. And it wasn't lupus. I was actually diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware of what that is.
No.
It's basically chronic, widespread pain all over my body. I would always have a hard time steering the steering wheel because it was painful. My hair on my shoulders really hurt me. And I was always in pain, and I was always just fatigued, like couch potato to the max.
Man.
And so with my own personal experience, this water found me. And just I'll tie this all in a little bit backstory. I was pregnant with my second child. I was about 4 months pregnant. I was very sick. I was bound to my bed, morning sickness, all that. I spent most of my time in bed, and in return, I spent a lot of time on my phone. And I was on YouTube a lot. I would get deep in these YouTube scroll holes, or one video leads to the next. And I actually came across a water demonstration.
Okay.
And this woman's like, you can clean your pesticides with this water. And I'm like, yeah, pesticide free. So I decided to go for it. I invested in this machine, not knowing that I was going to have life-changing experience.
Wow.
So I started to drink this water. I got it in June 2020. And it was literally half a day. I got it mid of the day. I set up my machine, took 5 minutes. I started drinking this water, and I went about my day. The next morning, I was actually making myself breakfast. And that was unheard of at the time. I was just because I was just so sick.
Yeah.
So I'm I didn't really think about anything. I'm yeah, whatever. And so I started to feel better, and still I got feeling better and better. And we decided to go to a trip to Colorado.
Okay.
So I was, I think in my second trimester, and usually before your third, you want to go get your trip out before a baby comes. So we went on a trip. I didn't bring fresh water and I wasn't drinking water during this ride, during my whole trip. And my morning sickness came back. All of my fibromyalgia pains came back to the point where I forgot I had them prior. And all this started to come back. And I was like, whoa, I remember this feeling. Like this hurts. Like I haven't experienced it in a couple of months. And now here it's all just exploded. And so we came back home. I started to hydrate again and they all went away.
Wow.
And what's really spectacular for me is I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I know personally thousands and thousands of people who've had some crazy experience because, and I'm not saying, like, disclaimer, this water doesn't heal. There's nothing outside of us that heals. Now, what we can do is allow our body the right ingredients, the right just environment. And when we allow our body to do that, then our body knows what it's designed to do. And our body's meant to heal itself. So that's really what sparked this. Holy moly, I know something that is changing people's lives. Like, and for me, that is part of my mission, to share my education, share my knowledge, and to share my experience, because there are people looking. There are people who are tired of going to the doctors, tired of taking medications, tired of feeling really sick. And to offer something as simple as water, like it's almost unheard of.
No, it almost sounds too good to be true.
Yeah,
you know, and they always say, like, the old saying of, oh, you're tired, drink water.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, you want a clearer face, drink water.
Yeah.
But for you to kind of explain that instance, that's so just mind blowing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. What the issue is, we're drinking the wrong kind of water. Most of this water that we're drinking, bottled RO, spring water, tap water, it's one, there's contaminants. Like we all know tap water is just crazy. And two, it's stagnant. It's void of minerals. It doesn't have that charge that water has in nature organically. So we're drinking stagnant water, and on a molecular level, we're 99% water.
Yeah.
So if we're drinking stagnant water, well, what's happening to the waters inside of our body? And so that's something we're not taught. I was never taught that.
No.
I was always told drink 8 glasses of water a day and you'll be good to go. But me personally, I grew up on soda and hot Cheetos.
That's the way they kept you, you know, not sick.
Yeah.
You know? Hot Cheetos and soda.
Yeah, especially if you have a cold.
I know, right? Just keep throwing those Cheetos down your throat.
Yeah. So that's been really profound for me.
Okay. So my question would be, you know, obviously it's like anything, you know, it's like you mentioned, it's a disclaimer. It's not going to heal. It's not like you drink the water and, oh, I can, you know, see better or whatever. Is there a type of like dietary that you have to add on to it? Like, I'm sure there's other things that you have to do to keep taking care of your body, whether it's, you know, eating a little bit healthier of a diet, you know, because, you know, some people could easily, for me, I'm kind of, I need something literal. Like if I heard what your story was, I would just start focusing on drinking a gallon of that a day.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'm still eating like 3 meals of fast food.
Yeah.
Like, so
yeah.
what have you noticed with your diet? How do you supplement that in to, you know, kind of give that chance?
Well, interesting. When I was pregnant, my diet was trash. I was just like, give me all the nasties, you know, and
as you should.
Right now, personally, for my own balance in life, for my own longevity, I do care about what I put into my body. Now, do I go and enjoy a cake? Heck
Absolutely.
yes. It's all about
human.
that balance. Yeah. And I find as long as there is that balance, be it your water, like if you are drinking soda, if you're eating those hot Cheetos, just that balance for me personally. I don't eat hot Cheetos anymore just because I know too much.
A red dye.
Yeah.
My girlfriend always tells me, like, I bought a bag 2 days ago, and, you know, we are definitely, you know, at the age to where we've talked about having kids.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, you know, in the book for us, but hey, like, we need to stop eating hot Cheetos. The red dye is just not good for you. And then the vitamin B and, you know, just all the vitamins that, you know, needs to get put into, you know, the woman's body, and that she's made aware to me that I need to start taking more serious about. So I'm like, yeah, it is. You know, once you get older, you have to start thinking of stuff like that.
Absolutely. And it's unfortunate that we live in this world where it is no secret now that our food is harming us. And now it's coming to light that our water is as well. So just having that well-rounded just knowledge of like, okay, we are full of free radicals, toxins in our world. And to be able to be informed, because that's the first, I feel like that's the first step. Like, you don't know what you don't know until you know it, then you know, and then you can make the proper steps if you choose to.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So with the water that you have, is there any way to find that type of water other than what you're doing with your business, or is your business like the place to find this type of water?
Yeah. So have you heard of Lourdes, France, and the miracle waters around the world?
I haven't, no.
Yeah. So there are very few natural springs around the world that this water holds a charge. Okay. And people go and they'll be sick and they know of these miracle waters, and they'll travel and they'll go and they'll bathe in this water. They'll drink this water, and then, oh my goodness, they feel better. Well, we all don't live next to these miracle waters around the world. We all can't have access to this. So I personally am an independent distributor for a company called Enagic. Okay. It is a Japanese advanced water technology. And they have been doing this for 49 years. They are an OEM, original manufacturer company. They have no debt. Their intentions, everything that they do is with integrity, with love. And their mission is to hydrate the world so people can feel healthy. People can also accumulate their wealth, and their soul and their spirit is part of that mission as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a company that allows these miracle waters to be right in your kitchen.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So obviously you could take the tap water and it dilutes all of that kind of like the toxins, like you mentioned, and kind of gives you what you brought to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So the scientific name is electrolyzed reduced water.
Okay.
And the company calls this Kangen water.
Okay.
Kangen means return to origin in Japanese.
I like that.
Yeah.
Does it taste different?
Oh, I love it.
Really?
Yeah, I could tell the difference. Some people say it tastes funny. Some people love the taste. It's all a matter of preference. When I first tasted it, it was a shock to my palate.
Yeah.
Because I've never had water so hydrating before. And so I loved it right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm honestly interested to try it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'm so looking forward to it because I'm a big water guy, and this is news to me. So when obviously this was a little biased because I am the guy that carries around a gallon everywhere I go. Like when I go on work trips and I travel a lot, I will go straight to a Walgreens, to a Walmart because it's convenient, right? That's like, I am not going to drink tap water. Like there's no way I'm drinking tap water. So I'll go buy 5 or 6 gallons because it's convenient. And I'll carry it with me. And everyone looks at me at work like, dude, why are you carrying that? You're not going to finish it. I'm like, oh, absolutely. And another reason I'm so curious about it is I know that there are times where I don't like drinking water, but I see how much water, and not the good water, has done for me in a daily living of it is such like a natural caffeinated thing for me where it's like, it's natural energy water is. And I see how good it makes me feel if I have a full glass of water, how, some of my meals digest properly. So I can't even imagine and can't wait to see what this water does for
I
what
love
I'm
that
doing.
you hydrate so much. It's amazing.
I do my best, like honestly, and anyone that knows me and has seen me on an everyday basis knows that, oh, you're the gallon guy.
You got
like
the water.
Yeah, you have the water for sure. So I take pride in that because it's so big. It's so important, and there's so many of us that are not as hydrated as we think.
Right.
And like you said, the lack of education is, I would have never known about this water if it wasn't for you. You know what I'm saying? So to hear about the benefits of it and how it's helped people in this case with, your fibromyalgia, and then obviously, doing the education behind it. I'm so interested to see what it can do for human beings that are, in this case, like yourself, somewhat healthy,
right? Yeah.
So.
Wow. So just to get a little bit into it, I don't want to share too much about the science, but I'll share 3 properties that make this water different from any other water that that's available to us. And the first one being that this water is 6 times more hydrating than other water.
Okay.
And it's because the water molecules are small enough to penetrate your cells and your blood-brain barrier.
Man.
So picture a chain link fence, okay? And picture tennis balls. These tennis balls are your bulk water, like tap water, bottled water, all that. Well, we're trying to throw these balls in the chain link fence and it's not going through because it's too big. Now with electrolyzed reduced water, think of marbles, throwing marbles at this chain link fence. Well, all this is going through because it is micro clustered, the molecules. So that's the first one. And the third one is being full of charge, voltage. We are water beings and we're electrical beings. Our cells, our brain, our body functions on voltage, electricity. So this water is full of voltage, full of antioxidants that our body is quite starving for and ready for. And the last thing is it being alkalized. Have you ever heard of Essentia? Well, Essentia is an alkaline water bottle.
Okay.
Well, there's so many on the market. Well, the reason why it is alkaline is because they're adding chemicals to it. It is chemically changed. They're adding baking soda, different salts that are more dehydrating. Well, this water is changed electrically, just like these natural aquifers in the world, like the voltage and the pH is going to be a true alkaline. Now I call it an integrity test. I'll get a bottle of Essentia.
Okay.
I'll put my pH drop. They'll be purple. Now I blow into a straw, which is experience like when you drink it, you're adding your carbon dioxide. Well, Essentia goes acidic. It goes back to its original state. And with this electrolyzed reduced water, it's electrically changed. It's changed from its structure. It's true alkaline water. So those are just those three key main facts to know about this water. Yeah.
No, it's very interesting. I mean, never in my life would I have thought I was going to be sitting here having a podcast about water and how it's a benefit, like I definitely feel like you get to a certain point in your life to where, which I will say, with this generation, it's a lot different. People are trying to take care of their bodies so they can live for a longer time, because we're noticing that our, the expectancy of an average human being in the United States is starting to shorten.
Yeah.
And for me, I want to live as long as possible. So, very good knowledge. And, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And, touching on it a little bit, because I definitely feel like it was enough information that's not too overwhelming.
Yeah.
But,
keep it simple.
very simple. And, my next question would be like, how do you tie this to your everyday life? Like you have 3 kids, you have a partner. What does that look like for you and trying to balance that out in your life?
We're hydrated, baby. We got it. We got the energy.
Yeah.
We have the hydration.
That has to be the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. Just this has integrated into me, my everyday life, where I go and everywhere I meet someone, I'm just like, here's a free gallon of water. Like,
wow.
Here's some knowledge, just connecting and really getting to know people. It's opened up my ability to connect with so many people.
Yeah.
Because it's water. Everybody drinks water.
Yeah.
Water is a universal solvent. And so it's part of my life now, and it's going to be for the rest of my life. This is definitely part of my mission here on earth.
I love that. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? To just have the energy and, go from start to finish. And, what does your daily routine look like, when it comes to something like that?
So I flow.
Okay.
There's days where they are similar and there's days where they're not. So really, I'm a mama. Most of my energy and time is spent at home with my children. And just enjoying life.
Yeah.
That's really where I'm at, is just gratitude to be alive today, gratitude for my breath, because life is so short, and
absolutely, to
just be alive is just so exciting and invigorating. And I hold that energy every single day, because it's short, what I'm saying? It's short.
Yeah. And it's, it can get challenging to have that perception and, outlook on it, especially when it comes to, running a business, because you do have to be on the flip side of throwing it and promoting it on your social channels, on your website. And, although it is the fact that you may want to just post it and just get rid of social media for the rest of your life, you still got to see stuff on your feed and, what people or what companies are sharing. And, obviously some of the more, not so positive things that are on the web, and it can get discerning. It can get, disappointing at times. And I don't know, it definitely is the water must help with, staying in that positive outlook.
Yeah. It's interesting. Me and my community, we always talk about hydrated entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And it's being able to leverage social media, able to use these platforms to share awareness, share my everyday life. There was a time where I was so business oriented, where like all of my social was just business, business, business. And I really learned how to find that balance with my own life, and also share about water, because water is part of my life, and not separating them has really been really profound for me, because I am my business.
Right.
Yeah. I, refer people to medical grade ionizers, yet that's just that's just part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you bring up a good point, because you're a living testimonial of what your product is. And I think that can be such a huge benefit, because you can balance out having your lifestyle incorporated into it. And I tell people all the time, as a marketing professional, like that is something as a business and as a brand you need to do. Like you need to be living out your brand like it's a human being. Because if you're not living it and you're not showing what those experiences are like, and being able to, be human and not a robot, people aren't going to believe you. They're not going to be able to create a sense of relationship with you, because that's what social media is about. Having that sense of relationship. And until, I'm sorry, like this flies all of a sudden it just came out of nowhere.
Wants to hang out.
Yeah, I know,
like,
right?
My turn.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely can make or break, but I do appreciate the point. What do you call it? The
hydrated entrepreneurship.
That's you guys need to put that on a shirt. Like that is so cool. I don't know. That's so cool to say. It's so catchy. But yeah, I think, I've noticed it with you living it out and seeing it first time. And that's what brought me to say like, oh yeah, definitely try the water.
Yeah. That's amazing. I like to say that we are our own brand.
Yeah.
It's such an easy thing for us to separate things as human beings, and to know that every step that we take, every word that we say, every creation that we create, be it business or whatever, that's us. That's our energy being infused. That's us birthing this. And just quite simply, we are our own brand.
Yeah, no, we really are. And I think the more that we can get used to doing that, we can be so much better about how we treat people. Because I do feel like it comes down to it too. Like I was getting so involved in just business, like you mentioned, but not seeing people as human beings, and trying to like not be so salesy, but be more sort of like, hey, this would really benefit me. Like you should really try this. You know what I'm saying? So I have gotten to a point to where I'm like, okay, human interaction is so key. Like I work from home, but on the flip side, when I do stuff like this, it still brings me that human interaction that I need. And sometimes if I don't do it for a long period of time, I get anxious. You know what I'm saying? Like I get involved into just being so alone that I go into big groups of people, even just getting groceries. And I'm like, man, I just want to get out,
Yeah, I do. I definitely had to work through that too. When I first started this journey, I was trialed and errored. I word splashed on people. I was just like, buy this, like a typical salesperson, and really learning how to, it starts by just doing, and by just trial and error. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I will say, like, I think it is great for you to just, even as simple as just giving a gallon, it just goes a long way. It shows that you're willing to not only talk about what you have, but hey, try this. And really just try for yourself and see if it's something that's helping you.
Yeah. I'm not here to shove something down someone's throat. I'm not here to sell to people. Like this may or may not be for you. There's people it's for, there's people who it's not. My job here is just to share, and it's up to the person. If it's for them, they'll know. If it's not for them, like that's okay too. Like that's okay. Yeah,
definitely. So you talked a little bit about the community that you're in. Tell me a little bit about that. What's that experience like, and what kind of like when you guys meet together, what do you guys do?
Okay, so we have retreats twice a year.
Okay.
We have events multiple times a year. In October, I'll be going to California. We're having a really huge event, and it's all like hydrated entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Really amazing speakers like Eric Worre, Jeremy Lee Minor, people like that come to train us, and then we get to meet everybody in the community.
Okay.
And Enagic, the community is That's huge. It's really huge.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned you like hundreds of thousands of people that you've been able to network with. That's so cool.
It's like when you see someone who has Kangen water, you're like brothers and sisters already.
That's so awesome. It's a huge family.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So have you been able to, at these conventions, have you been able to meet new people and be able to take some of those friendships home and learn from people? Yeah.
What's really cool is this water community, there's something about it that just hits differently.
Okay.
People who it's when you meet your family that you don't know is your family yet. It's like online strangers who become friends, who become family. And that's really the energy there.
Yeah.
Is the ability to be open, to connect, to have like-minded individuals with the same mindset, with the same intentions and the same goals. I think that's really special because we're tribal souls. You know, going back to our ancestors, we were together. Not until recently where we have this nuclear family that's just, get away from your grandma, your mom, and you go live somewhere by yourself. Well, we're not meant to live that way.
Yeah.
We're meant to be in a community. We're meant to share. We're here to network. And, you have something that I don't have. And when we all come to the table, we're feasting.
Yeah. And bringing everything that you can to, be the best version of yourself, but share that commonality in what it is. And I agree with you where I feel like there are times where I want to be a part of some community that is like-minded. And when I do find that community, I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And you just bounce ideas off because we're all, trying to be experts at one thing, but we all bring so much baggage and so much experience and knowledge and other things as well that you can create almost 5 different businesses off of 5 people that are in there. You know what I'm saying? So it's so cool to just interact and be in that space.
Yeah. It's medicine.
So now going into, a little bit about yourself, talk to me about a time that, you were at rock bottom, that you were, at a place to where you maybe wanted to not really push this or, push any type of like work or anything in your life. And how did you get over it?
Wow. So most of my life I was a quiet child.
Okay.
I self-harmed. I put substances in my body that should never have been there. And I felt so alone. I felt so angry. You couldn't catch a smile on my face. I was so closed off to people. I was so closed off to love, to interactions, to where I carried that. I carried that for a long time. And I would, I started different business ventures. I would start different projects and I just quit. I quit. Okay. I was just like, I'm not the best. I can't do it the way I want to. Like, I'm done. Okay. So I gave up most of my life. I gave up gymnastics, basketball, like all these little things that brought so much excitement in my life. Because of my mindset and my mentality and just my aura. Yeah. It was just so repelling. No one wanted to be around me. I didn't want to be around anybody else. And so I missed out on so much in my life and so many opportunities to where, this business venture now, this was like, do or go home. Yeah. Like, Bri, come on, like, do it. Like, keep going, keep persevering, keep pushing, because if I don't do it now, I will never. And I'll never be able to see what I can amount to. I won't be able to help people who are praying for this. And there's been times these past 3 years where that person comes back and she's like, hey, do you want to quit? Right. It's too hard. And
just like that, right?
Yeah. And, there's so many times where I'm just like, I'm done. I can't do this. Like, I quit. Yet I know deep in my heart, my soul, like, that's not me anymore. And to know that you don't know what's on the other side of perseverance. Our human body is so powerful, yet our mind is so limiting. Our mind's a beautiful tool that we have as humans, yet when we let these stories overrun us, we have no chance.
Yeah, it definitely starts at your mind too. And like your mind has to listen to what your body's saying, and I've done, some research on, the last 5 years on just, the basic knowledge of what the mind can do for you. And really listening to some of these life coaches and some of these people that talk about, like, obviously we're our own worst enemies, but what does that really look like? And the simple thoughts that go through your head, the simple foods that you're taking in, and I just learned so much about what it really means to feel good about yourself. And it's so easy for us to look at, like, in simple terms of looking at a Instagram post and you post something and you get 1,000 likes. Yeah. That 1,000 likes and 5,000 comments, 4,099 of those are positive comments to that one negative comment ruins the whole thing. Right. And that's how our minds are. Like, we could get complimented. We could get told 100 times that you're worth it. You're going to do this. You're doing great. You're doing good work, to that one person or to that one thought of you of, I'm not doing enough. And then it balances out. So I completely agree with you. And I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're able to overcome that. And I know definitely, it's probably wasn't easy. I can definitely say that there was a part of my life that I was, abusing substances, and I was in a place of, a hard place. And, I was definitely trying to find the easy way out that was soothing of like, oh, this feels good now. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this feels good now. And once you get out to that reality of it, it's like, I don't want to be in the reality of it. I want to be in something that I can dream of and just stay in that moment for a while.
It's easier.
It's so much easier. And then you get here and, you do it for a long enough time, like any other habit. And it feels so good. Like this all feels good to me. Like I enjoy doing this. This is my, my peace away from, work can be stressful at times, but this is my peace and what I like to do.
Yeah, I definitely feel the passion and you doing this is part of it. And thank you for hosting this, because the bridge that you connect and you create, it moves mountains. It really does. Yeah.
Yeah. And it starts with you guys, the people that come in and, are able to, it's not easy. I tell people all the time, like, it's one thing to start a podcast, but to bring on people consistently that have stories to share that are selfless, and selfless people I don't feel like are hard to come by nowadays, but it's hard to align well with when that chapter in their life is, because somebody could be in chapter 1 and they're, selfless or selfish, to someone that's in chapter 99 and they're just ready to like, hey, this is all about other people and bringing good people over here. So it definitely, props to everyone, and you're including yourself, that is coming in here to let down, a little bit of that insecurity blanket and talk about this kind of stuff. It's not easy.
Oh, I love it.
Like it's really not easy. And, I know people can be easy to judge on what's going on. But we all have curtains,
We do. We've had so much trauma.
Yeah.
The human race is a traumaed race. And, just getting one thing I really learned is tying back to the water, is our DNA is structured water, which is what this water is. And there's a lot of work by Masaru Emoto showing that water holds memory. You can program your water. You could say love and gratitude, and they're going to form beautiful crystals, opposed to like trauma and hate. Now, when we have children, we're passing on our DNA. Our DNA is holding the trauma, and the DNA is also holding our blessings. And when we're hydrated, honestly, this water has brought all of my traumas to the surface. And it's also brought all my blessings for me to work through it. Yeah. Because there's so many of us who don't work through our trauma, who are just living in these cyclical, just illusions of self. And to be able to take a step back and unfold the pieces of myself, that's the work. Yeah. Every single day, that's the work. Showing up when I don't want to. I just want to lounge around all day. Yet, my babies need me, or I need to go share some water today. Like, the little things. And that's what's so beautiful. Like, the work doesn't have to be hard. It's just the mind that makes it feel like it's hard. Yeah. Yeah. Because when you get it to actually doing the work, it's almost so natural. Yeah. Yeah. Like, you're doing it. It's the mind that keeps you blocked. And it's like, oh, another 15 minutes and, taking a nap, or I'll get up after this episode or whatnot. And I like what you mentioned about your trauma comes out of you. It comes to your your outer core, because I do feel like it's something that I was having a conversation about, in the last couple of weeks with some people that I mentor and that I talk to. I don't have the best story to tell. I'm not even as successful as I maybe want to be, but I have been through life situations that make me human and, can make me easily to touch and talk about on certain things. But it was brought up that, a trauma, like PTSD trauma from, family, from girlfriends, from boyfriends, from past relationships, parents, and maybe like, how do you go about it? But I feel like you can only handle your trauma if you face it, and for me, therapy was such a huge thing when I got into it when I was 21 years old, 22 years old, because I had a lot of trauma, even coming from a very well-managed, respectful 2-parent household. It wasn't about them. It was the trauma that I faced almost later down in my life in high school and college that I didn't necessarily think was a problem until I started getting into relationships and I started taking out that trauma and PTSD on those relationships. You know what I'm saying? Nobody asked to be in a relationship or be in a friendship and have those things taken out on them. Right. It's up to us or the person that's going through that, to handle that on their own and make it
manageable to where you can identify when it is that you're getting ready to go through those trauma experiences, or you're in that moment of feeling like you're going to make a traumatic decision on something.
Right.
So I'm very big on like, understand yourself first as much as possible. Not saying you can't go get a girlfriend, go find someone to marry, can get into a friendship, but understand what you lack in so that you can let your partner know like, hey, this is kind of some of the stuff I'm struggling with. Or you can know that, hey, once that switch hits and it starts getting hard for you to express certain things or, handle certain emotions, you can manage it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So, it's like radical responsibility and then also working with the other person.
Yeah.
Like, me and my partner Chase, like we're great examples of it where we're like, whoa, I'm triggered. I need a moment. Because there was a time where I didn't understand what a trigger was. I didn't understand that I was operating from trauma. And to have that knowledge of like, okay, like this goes deep. This goes deep to my childhood, goes deep to my mother, my father. It's not you. This is literally me working through this. And being open and be like, okay, well, what do you need from me during this time has been super monumental because it's so easy to be like, if have a friend or a partner, wife, whatever, it's easy to take it personal.
Oh my gosh. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, my girlfriend's not having a day and I'm like, what did I do? And that's a trauma response. And that's why it's like not putting yourself in it. Like you mentioned, like getting to the point to where, what can I do to help, or how can I, is there something you need to vent about? And I'm the guy that wants to fix everything, as it's natural for me to want to be like, man, the person I care about's not doing it. How can I fix this?
Yeah.
And I've had to learn based off of what she's told me, like, you don't have to fix all the time. Like sometimes people just need to talk. Yeah. And I'm like, no one's ever told that to me before because I'm always having the expectation for me is like, I got to fix it. Yeah. That's my fix. But it's a great point to talk about because it is huge. Communication is so huge when it comes to any type of relationship or friendship.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how do you feel, going in towards, like you said, you talking about managing not only your partnership, but also your relationship with your kids, a business. How do you tend to prioritize things and obviously be the best you can be each day?
In all honesty, it's like, what excites me?
Okay.
It changes every day. I'm not someone who does well in a 9-to-5.
Okay.
I'm not someone who I love structure, yet I cannot do like this, and this. Okay. For me to really follow who I am as a person is I take a moment every day. I'm like, what excites me right now? And sometimes that means going and getting a latte or going to the park with my children or just sitting down, reading with them or just breathing on my floor. I find it really important for me personally to make time for my excitement and my joy and my passion because that's what lights me up. And when I am lit up, then I overpour to people. Yeah. Now, when I'm drained, that's not helping anybody. Right. So it's day by day. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, another cool perspective to look at it from because I do feel like there's a stigma of parenting as in you have to, give and take, but I feel like the literal meaning of you have to sacrifice everything for your kids.
When I had my first child 9 years ago, I thought that was the truth. And most recently, past 3 years, my second child, I realized there's more to it. There's a whole stigma of what it means to be a parent. And I always have a saying that when you become a parent, it becomes apparent of what it really, and it's just love. It's caring for your children. It's spending quality time and taking 5 minutes just to get down on their level and just to be present with them. And that's all kids need. They don't need all this crazy stuff. And whatever works, we're all different and we all have different flows and just to be there with them. That's the gold.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought it up because, although I love podcasting, I also like listening to podcasts and, hear people talk about certain things. But one in particular, and I have a nephew who just turned 3 years old today. And
happy birthday to him.
I know, happy birthday to him. And poor kid just came out from the hospital. He had to get stitches yesterday. So it was it's been an interesting couple of days, but to the point of, I love that kid to death. Yeah. I would do almost anything for that kid. And, you know, not having a kid and wanting, you know, kids sometime down the road, in the near future, it's like, I love him as much as I feel like I would love my own kid. But going a little bit further, there's a podcast I listen to, and this guy, he, in and out of prison, 5 or 6 kids. And the most recent one being his youngest that he hadn't met yet was already like 3 or 4 years old. And, he gets out of prison, and he's a big time actor, and he's done a few different films. He's done a lot of theater work, but very down to earth guy who, you know, Mexican American thug, talks like a thug, just really cool story. And he goes and to, you know, his mother of his child, and he's like, "Hey, mijo, like, how are you?" And like, he's like, "You're so big now," and he has no money. He has like, you know, a few bucks on him. And this is like 2015 or 2012, where you can still go to McDonald's and get a double cheeseburger for $1. So he's like, "Can I, you know, take him to eat?" And she's like, "Yeah, go for it." So he takes his son out, and he's just driving him around, and he's like, "Mijo, like, what do you want to do? Like, are you hungry?" "Oh yeah, I'm hungry, Dad." So he goes and takes him to McDonald's, gets him a meal. And he's just there talking to him. And he said he just broke down because he was like, parents are so, you know, messed up nowadays. Like, y'all think that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to get them, you know, this high amount of money, you have to give them allowance. He's all, you got to be there for your kid. He's all, that moment in the McDonald's where I'm just there, you know, with my 3 or 4 year old and just talking to him, having a conversation, that means more to them than taking them, buying them the most expensive shirt, buying them shoes, buying them whatever. And it was a moment of like, I almost started crying because I was just like, dang, bro, I worked in nonprofit work for 3 years at the Boys and Girls Clubs and, you know, with families and stuff and education. And the kids that I feel like needed the love the most had all the money and were taken care of that way. But the kids that were middle class, lower class, that were so happy all the time, just had parents that loved them. Yeah. They probably didn't have, you know, they had holes in their pants and shirts, but they were getting love at home. And I feel like you mentioned, the love and the care goes such a far way.
This reminds me of what my great grandmother said a couple weeks back. And she said, you know, we were dirt poor growing up, but we had love in our home. And that's something that stuck with me because, oh, man, it's simple. Yeah. It's so simple.
And he's like, he said, it's so simple. Like, and people overlook it to where people don't care about their kids. You know, people don't love their kids. They don't know what love is or what love is to be given. And for someone that just has spent his entire life in prison, has 3 or 4 other kids, and being the youngest one, he says he loves all of his kids, even that they come from different moms, the same, and makes time for all of his kids. And all of his kids have nothing but good things to say.
Love has no limits. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
No, I'm sorry for like going on a tangent.
No, that was beautiful.
Definitely a really cool podcast. It's called The Real Ones. I don't know. You might have seen a few of his movies, but he's in Wolf of Wall Street. I forget what his John Berthnall or Joe Berthnall. You can look him up, and he brings on all of these ex-convicts. Oh. And there's a program for ex-convicts that are able to transition them into, if they want to do marketing, photography, acting. A lot of the ones he brings on is acting because he's an actor. He was doing a lot of acting at the time, but it was the whole basis of, I would listen, Shia LaBeouf was on it, and he talks about his story as he was really heavy into drugs.
I remember that one. Yeah.
So that's his podcast. Okay. And I listened to that one and a couple others, and man, it's so powerful.
Wow. I'll have to take a look.
Yeah, definitely. But last question to kind of sum it up, because I know we're getting to time, but you know, what would your advice be to your kids, and looking back at yourself when you were in that low moment? Like, what would you say?
To be true to ourselves, and to not give up, and to take opportunities and not be scared to be yourself. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. And it was great getting to know your story a little bit. And again, I can't wait to try the water. Yes. And I really appreciate you for bringing that in.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Thank you.
No problem.